yeah, something will happen. I can guarantee you that Valve is going to do something. The continued attention that the problem has been getting and the sheer celebratory nature of the community following Valve's comment on the situation is enough, to put it in Valve terms, data to justify future work on this 15-year-old title. So there's that. Yes, something is going to happen. And unfortunately, it's not as clear-cut as it may appear on the surface. Can you believe it? This video is sponsored by Into the AM, the best damn clothing company on the damn internet. I get packages sent from this clothing company, Into the AM, shoutouts to Jerome, almost every other week. And this last time, I got this shirt. Look at this. This is my favorite shirt I've been sent so far. It glows in the dark. I grew up in the 90s and 2000s. I've experienced a lot of really crappy glow-in-the-dark things. This? Seriously, Into the AM, look at. This room represents my brain. This shirt represents my soul. Into the AM, link down below. You can get a bunch of deals using my link, or at least my shirt. I'm not even wearing pants right now, but look at my shirt. Into the AM. There were some people that cosplayed as, I think, Miss Pauline and the Spy, stood outside Valve's offices. Now, a lot of Valve still works from home. However, one of the people that did go into the office was Casey Ackerson, or Acterson. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. She's the person that took over for Doug Lombardi. She is the new VP of PR, and she does a fucking fantastic job. She is the reason why you have the Steam fests. We just had a racing fest. We had a tabletop fest. We have Next Fest with all those demos. That was her thing. Casey is a PR manager. Casey previously used to be a newscaster for a Seattle local news channel. And she personally does not write code for video games. You wouldn't expect your PR rep with a journalism degree to do something like that. She was the one that wrote the tweet. No one on the Team Fortress 2 team actually wrote that tweet. There was a meeting with some people and they agreed that yes, we should do something about it, but it wasn't somebody like Dave Riller or Eric Smith or Jill or Dario or Robin looking at the situation and being like, we need to fix this, we need to tell people this, because that is the antithesis of how Valve works. If one of the traditionalist Valve employees were the one trying to spearhead the change, they would do the let the software speak for itself bullshit, work quietly on a solution. The issue, of course, is, well, what happens if they don't get it finished? Do they still comment on something? Of course not. It was Casey that was like, yo, we need to fucking say something. The press is upset, the community's upset, and this game still makes a fuck ton of money. We need to say something. The people that understand that in modern day, you need to fucking communicate with your customers about stuff. You can't just let the software speak for itself if the software hasn't spoken since 2017. So that doesn't mean they're not fixing it, but it does mean the person communicating with us is not the person who will be fixing it if they actually do so. Silly question, but why can't Valve hire a dedicated team to work on only TF2 separate from everything else Valve works on? Because that's like not how Valve wants to operate, so they refuse to do it. Could they do it? Abso-fucking-lutely. Literally, they could just be like, you know what? This Team Fortress 2 thing, we're gonna give it to Turtle Rock, we're gonna give it to Bethesda, we're just gonna give it to somebody else, and then they'll just do something with it. We'll oversee it, but they'll make the stuff for it. There's nothing stopping them from doing that. They just don't want to do it. If you go to Valve and get hired and try and push for something like that to happen, you will be met with severe opposition because you're a new hire. You have significantly less buying power in the ecosystem of the company's culture than individuals that have been there since the 90s. If you push for it enough, if you spend a lot of your time trying to work for it, and somebody that has been there since the 90s or somebody that has a lot of sway in the company disagrees with your methods, you aren't getting a contract renewal. You are not keeping your job. You are not getting a raise. You are not getting stock options. Your stacked ranking is going to be significantly lower than everybody else, and they will muscle you out of the company. Do you really think that in the last 6-7 years, somebody hasn't successfully been hired with the idea that I'm going to work on Team Fortress 2? VacNet appears to be going agnostic, meaning it can fit within any system, or at least changes are being made to allow it to fit within any system. And that will at least mean that things like CSGO community servers could host it, but of course it could also mean that it could be used in any game. And Team Fortress 2, of course, is a perfect place to put it. You would need to implement the trust factor system, which is possible that they've already done that behind the scenes. That's what they did with CSGO, and they did say security and stability fixes a month ago. But that's not enough to curb widespread botting that we're currently dealing with, and IP leakage on community servers, and the visibility issue of community servers. And even if we do get to a point where the bots are no longer a problem, we're back to a point where, if you've been around long enough, Lamal box players become the biggest issue, and we don't have very good anti-cheat in place. I'm going to say something controversial. They should start charging for Team Fortress 2 again. People who cheat in the game, they have a financial incentive to not lose their account. Just charge for the game. Going free to play was the biggest mistake Valve made with Team Fortress 2. And they set the standard in the industry. But the issue is, with a game like Team Fortress 2, in order to fully maintain the ecosystem of players in a free to play game, you need a company that's very hands-on. You need a company that's very active. And a free to play game with that many players and a company that doesn't do shit is a terrible environment to be in. And that's why we're here. See, CSGO does this already. CSGO is technically free, but unless you pay for it and attach a phone number, you're matchmaking into shittier servers. If you pay for it, you're showing that you are investing in the game's experience. And it's going to be a lot more difficult to convince and justify a financial purchase that you can just burn. The individuals that run the botting accounts are so confident Valve isn't going to do shit that the software that runs the majority of these bots is fucking open source. You can find the code and download it yourself online for free. There was once upon a time in the old age of 2014 and before, where you had a system called Quick Play, and it would literally match you into any game that fit the criteria that you asked for, whether or not that game was being hosted by Valve or not. And then Meet Your Match came out and kind of buried the community browser. It needs a refresh. And in fact, the Team Fortress 2 team, before Jungle Inferno came out, promised a TF2 YouTuber during his visit to Valve that a brand new refresh to the community browser was something they were working on. And then the other thing that they should really take a look at, like, you need to be able to support your community players. You need to make it easier for a well-maintained community server to have visibility and returning players. Because as a person that has paid for many different servers over the years, it's impossible to keep players because of just how ubiquitous the matchmaking system in TF2 currently is. The tweet, the actual announcement tweet of "we're working on it," got more likes and retweets than the Steam Deck announcement and the Half-Life Alyx announcement. Not combined, but this Team Fortress 2 thing got more likes and attention than Half-Life Alyx's announcement and the Steam Deck announcement. If Valve doesn't look at that and see dollar signs in their eyes, they're either willfully ignorant or hostile towards the community. They literally could put out a major content update right now and it would make more money than Half-Life Alyx made. I had been told that Jungle Inferno was below expectations, probably because it made $0 billions, thanks Valve. But if they did something along the lines of like a Dota TI update, where you have all this new content, plus you have the battle pass, plus you have all this community stuff, if you actually gave Team Fortress 2 what you guys are willing to give to CSGO and Dota 2, it would be your most successful multiplayer title.